What is up, everybody? How is it going? You guys, I have to apologize to you guys really quick because earlier I had scheduled this live for 7 p.m. For some stupid reason, I scheduled this live for 7 p.m. and it wasn't going to go on at 7. So I do apologize for not being on, but welcome, everybody. Welcome to Filling in the Gaps. I am Flo Joe. And tonight, what are we doing tonight, you guys? What are we doing? Storm, you are just in time. Let me give a shout out to everybody who's here, though. Stars is in the house. Ranch and Toes, how's it going? Jad's here. Ronan. I see Barbara Bish in here. Turquoise. You guys, we're streaming in both vertical and horizontal. So if you guys don't like the view that you have, go to my page and click on live and then choose a stream that you want to. I don't know. You'll see one that has like a mobile phone. That's a vertical live. And then we have the horizontal live. So yeah, you can choose whichever one you want. I see Bean Baby's in the house. Mama Sita. You guys, we already have people gifting in the chat already. Tammy with her $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much for keeping Celeste Rivas Hernandez's name alive. Absolutely. Cindy also gifted 5 memberships already before. That's crazy. And then Mama Sita. Is that Mac Dizzleson? Mac Dizzle, is that you? Are you back? Hold on, this chat is going way too fast for you guys. Okay, it is Mac Dizzle. Okay. Bean Baby, happy birthday, you guys. Drop some birthday candles and some birthday cakes in the chat. For Bean Baby, happy birthday. Turning up right here with FloJo TV. All right, you guys. So what do we have scheduled for today? Obviously, we're going to be reacting to Ashley Banfield's new video that she put out, which is, I find it really odd and strange that she actually put out a video regarding this entire topic, because this whole entire topic isn't actually new, right? Many of you guys know that this topic isn't new. But she had SF Investigates on there, and he was actually on there for quite some time. He was on there for roughly about 40 minutes. There were questions back and forth, and some of this stuff, you know, we've already talked about in some of our previous lives. So I just want to, you know, kind of refresh everybody's memory and kind of talk about it, see where you guys are at with this, right? Because obviously here on FloJo TV, we continue to keep Celeste Rivas Hernandez's name alive. When there is no news, we still continue to talk about her, right? So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to go ahead and share this really quick because we're going to react to Ashley Banfield's video. We're going to watch it. And if you've seen it, I apologize. You can come back later, right? But here, let me go ahead and share this really quick, and then I'll put it in. Which view do I want? Which view? There you go. This view is a little bit better. And Mama Sita, Mac Dizzle. Did you change your name? Did you create a whole brand new account? I don't get it. And then you became a member? What? All right, you guys. So make sure you guys have the right live. Choose the right live that you guys want to be in, because there are 2. We're also streaming on Twitch and Kick. So if you guys are on any of those platforms, you can join us there too. So whichever one you may, right? Anyways, type 1 in the chat if you guys have already seen this Ashley Banfield video. Type a 2 in the chat if you haven't watched it and you're living under a rock, right? Because obviously many of the content creators have already gone over this. Ronan said 0. Ronan said 0. Oh, Ronan. Ranch and Toes, you haven't seen this? Ronan, you haven't seen it? Wow. Many of you guys haven't seen this. Wow. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, let's get started, and then you know, we'll talk about the little adventure that I went on today. So let's go ahead and get started, you guys. So at the beginning of this video, for the first 20 minutes, Ashley Banfield just kind of gave everybody a recap, right? So let me ask you guys, type a 1 in the chat if you guys want this 20-minute recap of hers. And then type a 2 if you guys are just ready to jump into the interview between her and SF Investigates. You haven't watched it. Okay. Let me know where you guys want to start. Okay, so I'm seeing a few twos. I forgot which one that was. Was that the interview already? Okay. All right, you guys said it. 2 wins, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. So here we go.
.com/ban Celeste case. So, Steve, a lot has happened in the date.
And really quick, before we get started, again, this whole entire conversation is really nothing new, right? In fact, Ashley Banfield is probably a month late on all of this information, but because it is a new video, we're gonna go ahead and react to it.
David and Celeste case. When we all sort of turned our attention to Nancy Guthrie in Arizona, you kept working diligently. Can you give me just a bit of a summary, and then we'll go more in depth, point by point?
Yeah, a lot has happened, but not so much public facing, which is a little frustrating because, we need the public's attention on this. This is a 14-year-old girl. It doesn't seem like too many people are in her corner. I mean, the public is, but there's some people that need to stand up here, I think, including her family, quite frankly. And what's been going on is that there's been some court motions or court proceedings that have been taking place. It's come out now. There's no secret about the grand jury. There is a grand jury process happening, and they had subpoenaed David's mother, father, and younger brother, and they challenged that because they live out of state. They live in Texas, and that's been a process that's been ongoing. I don't know exactly where it stands because they were successful in sealing the records after we released the initial batch of public information. So they wanted them to testify in front of the grand jury, and there was a lot of telling information in those filings. But they're
and I'll get to that. I'm going to get
Yep.
to that information because I
Sure.
think that was really your biggest break, was the information that you found in
Yeah.
those filings, and I think that's opened a whole can of worms. But it's more than just that grand jury effort to subpoena the family members of David down, I think they're in a suburb of Houston. There's also that effort of them of the grand jury to subpoena David's friend. Where did that go, and where does it stand?
So, we didn't really know that he apparently had been subpoenaed. We can't say for sure, but Neil Langston, who is somebody that is very close friends with him, was at the house often, and we have lots of evidence of that. He was arrested at his mom's house in Montana. And when I called the sheriff's department up there to find out, they said that they were serving a warrant for failure to appear to testify in Los Angeles. And they didn't say grand jury, but I think we can assume that that was for grand jury. They did extradite him back to Los Angeles, and he got out on a $60,000 bond until I guess he could appear.
So he got out on $60,000 bail, and he probably posted bond 10%, right? So probably ended up paying $6,000. Who paid for it? Who knows? Maybe Neo did, maybe David did, who knows? Maybe Neo's mom paid for it, right? So just recap, January 22nd, Neo Langston was arrested in Helena, Montana on a warrant for failure to appear, right? Which is what they just discussed, and was extradited back to LA by the forces of Beth Silverman, right? And he showed up to court, right? He bonded out on Saturday. I think that was arrested on the 22nd. The world found out on the 23rd, and then everybody thought that he was going to be in jail over the weekend, right? Because we found out on Friday. But he was out 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, right? So he must have seen a judge
and testify. And then TMZ actually had a video of him, I think, appearing and leaving, actually, definitely leaving, as well as with the DA shortly afterwards arriving at the courthouse. But he only spent...
Jay Breddy, you're back. What's up, Jay Breddy? Of course David didn't pay his bail. We knew that.
40 minutes, according if TMZ is accurate, and that makes me think that there wasn't actually testimony. There's no way that it would be that quick unless he
So
was.
just to be clear, TMZ
Mhm.
has him, Neil Langston. I always get, is it Neil Langston?
Yeah.
Langston, yeah. They've got video of him going into the courthouse and coming out all within 40 minutes. And if anybody knows a grand jury process, it isn't going to be 40 minutes. Like,
No.
I think you once told me, look, just to get your name and your most critical information on the record is going to be the first 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to talk about particular grand jury proceedings. I have appeared at multiple for different cases, and the process of one, just when you arrive, checking in with the bailiff, making sure that you are who you say you are if you're going in front of a grand jury, then giving you the kind of the ground rules, then going in and being sworn in this big elaborate process where there's sergeant at arms and everything, and just asking you your name. Have you ever used a different version of that name? Or this and that? I mean, you're not getting anywhere in 40 minutes. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a multi.
Okay, let me clarify something, right? Because a shout out to the people on Reddit, the good folks over at the Dave Idiot sub, right? Because they gave a shout out to my channel and they posted the link to the live. So we're gonna get to that, you guys. But obviously, I have a show. We put on a show here, right? And I'm not trying to say that to be extravagant or whatever, but I create content and we talk about this. But obviously, because this is new information, we're not going to talk about it up front, right? So if you choose to not want to be here or you don't want to wait, I do apologize, but we're not going to be talking about this now because this video just came out and obviously the new content is pertaining to some of this stuff that's discussed, okay?
The process for somebody like
Neil,
as far as I'm concerned.
What do you think that says? I know there's a school of thought here and there about what that means, but what are your thoughts about the whole lightning fast appearance?
So I think it means that he probably pled the fifth, and that he was there with counsel, and his counsel affirmed that he was representing him, and I think that they use that as leverage to say, listen, we're playing fifth, but you want to work a deal, offer us immunity of some sort, whatever deal they're looking for. I have a feeling what happened was they used that to let them know.
Okay, so before SF goes on, I want to ask you guys, right? What do you guys think Neo was able to pull off in the 30-45 minutes that he was there at the courthouse, right? Because a lot of people are saying 45 minutes is not long enough to testify. Some people are saying, he pled the fifth. So what's everybody's thoughts? Do you guys think that he pled the fifth? Do you think he testified? Where does everybody stand with that?
Oh, that was their intention, and they probably met a day or two later with whoever they needed to meet with on the DA side and worked out some sort of agreement.
First,
and probably
podcast,
then ended up giving the testimony that he had, because Neo, and listen, I wish he would talk more often, but he hasn't talked. But he did come out last week, 2 weeks ago, and made a kind of a wild statement saying that he was now legally fine. He was legally fine, and that he had all kinds of information and had all the receipts. And he basically said, I've got everything they need. And so I can't imagine the DA would be super happy about him making that if they has a deal. But he came out with a really really arrogant statement, which great. Where was this 6 months ago? Why did it take having to extradite you here? He's not some hero to me if he's been holding on to this information, and because he got a deal, he might have rolled on his friend. This is a 14-year-old girl that was chopped up and left in a Tesla, and I think I think certain people knew, even if they weren't directly involved, knew that she was in there, and to go around parading the fact that you've got all this information and you're legally fine. And
so some people are saying that he gave his testimony. Some people are saying that he pled the fifth. Neo spilled all the tea. And then Mamacita said, I think he worked out a deal later. So you think that he testified, huh? First Liberties podcast. I'm curious what your thoughts are. I think you may have shared your thoughts the other night on this. You think he testified, or you think he pled the fifth? Because I think he may have pled the fifth.
ended it with a ha ha ha, and it's tone deaf.
It's definitely tone deaf. There's nothing funny about any of this. In fact, it's just excruciatingly frustrating. There's so many areas that I want to go to with you on this. Like, the LAPD has treated this case in a very unusual way, that the homicide division. They have sealed every.
Chris said, will you look into the hit and run claim from a private poster recently? Celeste allegedly drove his car and hit someone, and the passenger she was with killed her. Same car as David. If you can point me to where that is, I mean, I can definitely look into it, right? But this I haven't heard before. So Chris, if you know where I can find this, is it a Reddit post? Maybe we can definitely discuss it. I'd love to.
Everything. They've even, I think, compelled the medical examiner to be gagged in this case. And there's something that's very incongruous about that. Walk me through the timing of that, what the reasons were that the LAPD gave for telling the medical examiner, you cannot talk. And the medical examiner said, that's crazy. We are allowed to talk. And why that doesn't sort of pass the sniff test now.
So, I know a lot of people think that the LAPD, we're going to have this court hearing to get it sealed, in anticipation of a
different model
report
Tesla
coming out. But I think it's a little different that, the medical examiner said that in the first week, after they identified Celeste, they received a request to put a security hold, which is the sealing of the records, put a security hold on the Celeste file. And a security hold is actually determined by the medical examiner. They have the right to approve it or deny it, and they denied it. And so that's why she was in the database. You were able to look up and see this, the status of her case. And then all of a sudden back when they filed, I think what happened is they said, we're denying it, but we'll give you a heads up when the autopsy report and investigative report is finalized. And if you want to try and get a court order, you can. And then all of a sudden we see them do an ex parte emergency hearing one day, and they get it sealed. And I think that's because the report was done. I do think there's a cause and manner of death established. And I think the report's done, and then they got it sealed. And the medical examiner did something I've never seen done before, to come out with a press release saying, we don't agree with this. We have to abide by it, but we don't agree with it. And we think that it is a better public record or something else.
And here we are, right? We're 7 months into the discovery of Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body in the front trunk of David's Tesla. And we have yet to receive one press conference from law enforcement, not even one press conference from the DA. The news, they're not talking about it. TMZ has nothing to say about this, right? The only person that's really keeping things alive in this case, and thank God for him, is Steve Fisher. Whether you like him or you hate him, right? This case would be absolutely nowhere if it wasn't for him, right? Now, you guys may disagree with your belief on Steve Fisher, but we have to give it to him, right? Because if it wasn't for him, we'd know absolutely nothing. The law enforcement and the DA's office are giving us absolutely jack shit.
And wasn't this like back, I want to say around end of November? I mean, it's been months. It's been months and months.
I think it was November 21st, if I remember right. Yeah.
Okay. So if one of the reasons that the LAPD gave was because they wanted their detectives to see things before the public saw things. And I get that. That makes sense. But that was November 21st.
Yeah.
Right? So how many months has it been? How long does that homicide squad need before public record can be public?
Well, and that's just it. We haven't seen we've seen no actual press conference about.
Is it Gimmick 7240? But didn't he just give his final update on X? You're talking about SF Investigates? I'll double check to see I'll check to see if there's any updates.
This case, even though it's high profile, We haven't gotten any updates. So we've gotten 2 written short press releases from LAT, this being one of them, where they said the purpose of this, the sealing, getting the record sealed, was to make sure that detectives and robbery homicide unit got the information before the press and the public got it. That's understandable. You know, it should have some sort of, I believe, date when the sealing falls
Sure.
off. But here we are months later. They have that information, and when they ended up by saying, and this is not in an effort to undermine
Stop flirting with Nightbot.
transparency. Well, then why is it still sealed? Why is it still, why is it? Because there's going to be public outrage when they find out what really happened to Celeste, and wanting to know why there's not any movement, any answers yet, and you don't want that heat.
I mean, 5 months is a long time. 5 months is a long time for saying that your detectives need to have access, to the information first. But didn't they also say something like at that time? And I may have this sort of foggy, but didn't they also say something about we don't even think that necessarily a crime has been committed here, other than concealment of a body? What?
Well, so that was the other press. That was the first press release, and so the 2 they come out with were outright. I'm just gonna say they're outright lies, because the first press release.
And then I rock. Nightbot's your man. Uh-oh, y'all are gonna have to fight for Nightbot.
This is before anybody. There was talk about possible dismemberment, and then not, but nobody had ever said that. And then they came out with a press release saying, the only there might not be any crime in this case beyond criminal culpability for concealment of a body, which is a misdemeanor. And so that made you go, okay, well, she can't be dismembered then. It's got to be like an overdose and somebody made a bad decision, and they're like, what do we do? And then we find out she was dismembered, and because of a sloppy filing that they did that wasn't sealed. And
let me get to that in a second. Continue your thought. I'm going to get to why you found out that she was
dismembered. They knew, detectives knew she'd been dismembered. There's no way that it was concealment of a body. That would have been mutilation of a corpse, and that's felony at very minimum. So that was a lie. And then the only other press release we get out of them is a lie too, when they say this is not being done to undermine transparency. And 5 months later, we still don't have that unsealed. So those are not genuine, and they're not. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's. It's a 14-year-old, and I don't think. I just feel like they're playing hide the ball to an extent. I understand there's some things that can't come out, but
I was just going to say, I'm always willing to give the benefit of the doubt. Sure. And so I'm going to back off from saying that they're lying. It is uncomfortable to hear them say concealment of a body when in fact they knew that she had been dismembered, which I'm getting to. And maybe 5 months isn't enough for them to get their detectives to see everything before we do. I think it's crazy, but I'll give them that in terms of just, I won't say that they're lying. I'll just say that it seems like obfuscation to me.
That's me saying it, not you. I know that, but
let's go to how you found out, because you found out that Celeste was actually dismembered and in 2 bags. She was in a cadaver bag, and then the way the affidavit's written is like another bag, whether it's 2 cadaver bags or a cadaver bag and something else, we don't know. But the cadaver bag held her head and torso, according to your reporting in the affidavit, and the second bag held her arms and legs. How was it you found that out?
So there was an effort to subpoena David's mother, father, and younger brother, who all live out of state in Texas, and that's a little different process to compel somebody to testify in front of a grand jury, because they have to cross state lines. And so, but they did serve these subpoenas, and they filed a writ of habeas corpus. Each of them did, saying that their due process rights have been denied because the affidavits they received explaining why they were being material witness were heavily redacted. And they said, we can't tell if we are or aren't because of the redactions. And so they filed the writ of habeas corpus with an appeal court.
So just to be clear there, the family of David are saying, what the hell do you want with us? Why are we material witnesses when we look
So Luna is asking, Luna asked, has there been word of the grand jury is done now or no? Unfortunately, we don't know, right? Obviously, this is supposed to be a secret grand jury, or an investigative grand jury or just a regular grand jury. We don't know, right? But SF Investigates mentioned in one of his tweets, which we can review a little bit later, he mentioned that a grand jury is only impaneled for 30 days, right? And he said something about, I don't know, whatever just happened, it was over 30 days ago. So the grand jury should have been dismissed. So is the grand jury still meeting? I don't know. Are they calling a new grand jury every 30 days? We don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But our legal correspondent in the chat, maybe we can ask Chloe how that actually works.
With the paperwork, it's all blacked out and scratched out. We
Right.
don't even know what the heck it is you want from us. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they're fighting the process down in Texas against the
Texas.
California prosecutor, and it was one of the filings that you saw.
First
What's that?
Liberties podcast says the grand jury isn't done. The Burke family is still fighting this in the appellate system. This could take a few more months, which is true, right? They are doing everything in their power not to testify. So we just have to wait it out and see what the court says, right? Are they going to be forced to come to California to testify against their son, their beloved cash cow David? We don't know. They're fighting so they don't have to, right? And that's basically all that we know at the moment.
It's one of the filings that you ended up seeing that had all this
what
information.
happened, we saw that, and that was a rather short filing. There wasn't much detail in that, and what happened, and they lost that hearing, but then they filed an emergency motion with a different appeals court.
So First Liberties podcast, thank you so much. It's the same panel that convenes every time. So these people, I don't know, do people in grand juries get paid the same as if they were going to jury duty, like that $15 a day? I don't know. That's what it was when I was doing jury duty. They paid you like $15 a day, which would not fly with me because that's a lot of money you're missing out if you actually like had a 9-to-5 job.
And they were granted a stay through that, and so that meant the court wanted more information. They wanted to prove, that they were material witnesses and whatnot. So a rather extensive affidavit was filed, which showed from the LA court, it showed that, the state of California versus David Burke, and it listed, it said that he was suspected to have committed one count of murder 187 and which is, murder forethought in California, and
Premeditated murder.
Yeah. And it went into detail. It was the whole filing was 156 pages, but that included David's family's, responsible now. But it went in to say that the Tesla was found, was called in by neighbors as abandoned, and it was picked up on Bluebird and taken to a tow yard, which we all know, and that because of the amount of the smell and the amount of flies that were accumulating around the car, the manager called. Detectives came over. They made entry into the car, realized it was a human body, and then called the medical examiner out after getting a search warrant. And they found her. They said they opened one cadaver bag, which on top, and they unzipped it and saw a head and torso. And then upon the medical examiner removing that, they found a second black bag underneath that held her limbs.
Can you guys imagine, though, you guys? So obviously her body was discovered on September 8th, which is the day after what would have been her 15th birthday, right? How many holidays have passed since then? We've had a Halloween, right? Not really a holiday, but one that we all normally celebrate. We've had a Halloween, we've had a Veterans Day, we've had a Thanksgiving, we had what, Christmas, we had New Year's Day, and then whatever small holidays you want to count. We even had David's 21st birthday come up. We had Valentine's Day, right? All of those events came and they went David was able to celebrate every single one of them, right? While Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a 14-year-old poor victim, right, lost her life. And I don't mean poor like that, right? I just mean like poor child that she had to lose her life, and she wasn't able to celebrate any of these holidays, right, with her family, with her loved ones. But David, and we don't know, obviously David is innocent until proven guilty, right? But David is walking as a free man, able to celebrate every single one of those holidays that we just mentioned. Think about that, you guys.
And
So
that's heartbreaking.
that information, by the way, heartbreaking is the least of it. But that information had been kept from the public.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea? Was it a mistake that they put that in the paperwork when they were trying to get the Texas family, David's Texas family, to come up and appear before the grand jury? Did they forget to redact that, or why do you suppose that was out there?
So I don't think, I don't know.
Ramos 1434. I agree with you, right? She was failed by everyone, and I'm so upset he is still walking free. I agree, right? I agree. I think everybody in the chat, right? Type a 1 in the chat if you are just as frustrated as Ramos 1434, right? That we have absolutely zero answers, which is north of what? I don't know. The last time I checked was probably last Wednesday, which was 205 days, which is what, another 7 days later. So we're at 212 days later and still no answers, right? 212 days.
Know if that's a good question. What I'll say is,
oops. Hey, what happened? What happened? Did I mute up?
tactics are taken, like to get his family out here, no matter what, and then you got to file these filings. Some of this is it has to be filed, right? And if it's not immediately sealed, listen, the way that we found out that David was this was a murder investigation was that there was a filing, the filing for the medical examiners thing was filed in LA Superior Court, and for a brief 5 or 6 minutes, it was not sealed. And you happen to be in contact with the clerk's office, you got a copy of it. And listen, I'll tell you, I've got a copy of it. And it said right in there, I've never released it, but it said right this months ago, it said there's a murder investigation.
You know what? Even at work today, I didn't realize how often I wrote today's date was, but today is the 8th of April, right? And that would make it exactly 7 months from the day that, she was discovered in the Tesla. Isn't that fucking wild? 7 months, and we have absolutely nothing.
And so that really changed things. It was the first time we had seen that. And then all of a sudden, this one, we get more detail, because what they have to do is they have to make the case to the judge out in Texas that they really are material witnesses. And it brought up things like, the car is registered to the house in Texas where these people live. And we have learned that David has a strong relationship with his father and a strong relationship with his mother. But
wasn't she his manager? Wasn't she somehow involved in his career?
I think she has something to do more with like the merchandise sales and something like that. I know that he transferred the houses into her name and whatnot after, it became apparent that he was a suspect. But
right,
they're fighting it. I guess to an extent I can understand that as family. I mean, I do and I don't, but this is just, yeah. So, well, to answer your question, yeah, it's because of filings of being so aggressive that you didn't have to back these filings up, because they're not going to just give it to you in all cases. Maybe if this was here in California, the prosecutor's name would carry enough weight, but in Texas, they wanted proof of it. And, people are following this case very closely, and stuff like that's not going to get by. So
the prosecutor in this case, Beth Silverman, she is not a fan of yours.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that aren't, but yeah, no.
But in a weird way, like there's some things that she's done that don't make sense. I mean, you and I have had a conversation about this, but tell our viewers and listeners, like, the shit that you've been going through.
Yeah, I was very honest on Twitter. I was in a situation, and I can't get too deep in the weeds about it, but I was in a situation where, in this case, and where I was at the courthouse, I was handed a handwritten note on a piece of scratch paper saying that I needed to show up, would be the next business day. But I think it was like a Friday, and it had to be there Monday or Tuesday for in order to show cause for contempt of court. And
She handed you this piece of paper, handwritten
Is David is guilty here in the chat? What's up, Jake? If you're here.
piece of paper?
her assistant did. She was
Okay.
there. She was there, and she had her assistant write it. So they handed it to me, and I'm like, is there a case now? I asked,
Like, what is this? Was it a
I said,
summons or a
and
subpoena? Like,
I'm
what
pretty
was
sure I was in
it?
a place where there was a camera right above me, and I said, "Is there a case number for this?" You'll get that when you show up. I'm like, well, how can I hire counsel if I don't?
Oh, this was the same day that SF Investigates was handed that note on toilet paper. You guys remember that? And they told them, better show up to court on this date. You guys remember that? And then nothing ever happened.
I don't even know what the contempt chart, like what's the allegation? Contempt to show up. And so
They told them to show up on the 13th floor by the snack bar, right? Isn't that where they told them to show up?
Listen, I don't think anybody would disagree that knows, this is a powerful prosecutor, right? She's the one who brought Neo back from, and I will say I had detectives at one point that her direction show up at my house at 6 a.m. in the morning. And
Cat's here. Thank you for joining us. And Cat's here. I hope you're doing okay, right? We spoke a little bit earlier in the Discord, and I hope you're doing well. Keep your head up, okay? Keep your head up. But Cat's here said fear tactic. Honestly, I have a feeling that, they were probably just trying to tell him, like, look, Steve, we're all on the same page. We're all on the same team. But we need you just to kind of keep it low and stop talking, right? We don't want to show all of our cards. But Steve was like, fuck that. I'm going to keep talking, right?
No, for sure. They were at her direction that detectives showed up at your house.
They said, here's the phone number. You need to call her. So
that would be okay, clear.
And I talked to her. And so I was really worried about that because
oh, Leah, I'm gonna tell you right now, I was actually like number one when this video came out. This video came out like at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was still up. I probably watched it before most of you guys did, but I did see your email. But I'll have to check it out. I haven't been able to look at it yet because I've been super busy, and you guys will find out why.
Well, for obvious reasons, I was worried about it. So, and because I was leaving town actually to go to Georgia on a search and rescue mission for this missing SMU law professor that's missing on the Appalachian Trail. And I'm like, I have to cancel this trip. And so I ended up going that, but I put it on Twitter. I said, in order to protect myself, I'm just going to be open and honest about this. This is what happened. I showed a picture of what I received. I'm like, I went to the clerk's office. They have no record of a case with my name on it. There's no case number. I'm like, how can I hire an attorney?
I never understood why David still decided to perform his tour after Celeste was discovered. Why? What do you guys think? I think that he's got some issues, right? He thought that he probably could get away with it and pretend like, I don't know her. But he probably forgot the power of the internet, right? The same little place that helped boost him up to where he was, forgot that the internet existed, right? And there's a very special place that majority of us go to find out the scoop on things, right? A little place called Reddit, right? And Reddit is definitely not a place that you want to mess around with, right? You guys remember, it wasn't Reddit, but you guys remember Don't Fuck with Cats, right? You guys remember how everybody, I think it was a Facebook group, the people of Facebook were able to help solve this case, right? And Reddit is very, very similar, right? The people on Reddit are some of the most creative people on there, right? Exactly what Gold just said. Reddit is undefeated, right? Do not underestimate the power of the people on Reddit, right? And if you guys are coming here from Reddit, type a 1 in the chat, right? Because I'm also a small contributor to the Reddit subs too. But You know, this is a place where the Luca Magnotta case, yeah, absolutely, right? That guy, he messed with the wrong people, right? And he decided to mess with cats. And everybody knows you just don't fuck with cats, right? Okay. Perfect. I see some of you guys are from the Reddit subs, and I do appreciate you guys being here. It means a lot, right? I'm also a contributor to the Reddit sub, right? So I do appreciate you guys hanging out.
I go to attorney and say I was given a piece of scratch paper, you know, and to show up Monday. So I just said I want to put it out there in case I'm arrested for contempt, so people understand. And you know,
so you put the picture out on social media of that piece of paper that's
Yep.
handwritten, basically saying
people
you're in
didn't believe it was
trouble.
real.
Come, yeah, you appear tomorrow at 8:30 at the courthouse on contempt with no case number, no official subpoena. Like
No.
it's not a summons. Did you call the courthouse and ask what is
I
this, and do I have to be there?
I went after I was handed it. It was handed to me. I went to the first. I went to the department. It was in department whatever, and there was a big sign on the door saying that they were on vacation. They were dark until the following Monday, and that
Crazy.
the other department was handling their cases, and that's the department where they handed me the thing. I'm like, so then I went to the clerk's office, and I'm like, first of all, I know this isn't a summons, but do you have any record of this? And he looked at me, he's like, I have no idea what that is. I've never seen that, anything like that. So, and I talked to a couple of lawyers I know, and they're like, I can't imagine they can be enforced. But then again, you never know whether the DA, they can do it. And then if it's like, oops, sorry, you know. So I was gone like 7 or 10 days after that on this search at Blood Mountain.
So you went on your search trip, and did you hear from the prosecutor, or where are you? I'm sitting here in court waiting for you at 8:30 in the morning, or what happened?
Out, I said in there, I'm like, I'm partially doing this so the press knows in case something happens. So, well, did get a call on that Monday from a couple of people in the press that I didn't really know, but they called me and they said, hey, we're here at the hearing. We just went, are you going to show up? And I'm like, no, I'm in Georgia. And I was told that, so this was the day that I guess Robert Morgenrath was appearing, I guess, at the grand jury, I'm told. And so they said that they were in the courtroom asking when I was going to be called. And the bailiff said he's not on the docket, but we're going to call it after.
He's still talking about the day he was called in.
So they waited. And then I wasn't there, of course. So they said, we're moving it to the afternoon, 1:30 thing. So it was the same thing. They show up at 1:30. They say he's not on the docket. And then after it was over, they were waiting to see if I got called, and then they said they cleared the 3 reporters out of the courtroom, and they weren't sure why. And then they brought Rob Morgenrath in with his attorney, and then it wasn't brought up again. So I don't know where it stands. There could be a warrant for all I know. I don't know.
But nobody communicated anything with you after that. There's nothing that came from the courthouse. There's nothing that came from the prosecutor. Nobody said we're charging you with contempt at this point for not showing up. Nothing.
And I will say that I wrote a very, very detailed letter to the judge that was supposed to be over hearing this in the form of like a motion to continue, and let her know like this is how I started, gave her a copy of it and everything. I never even got a response to that. So it's not like I didn't just show up. I gave notice, but I was like, and then after this whole thing happened, I did email the DA and I said, as you know, I didn't show up, but I don't think I needed to. And here, is there anything going on and that I need to know about? And I never heard anything. So,
and nothing ever showed up by mail either, right? You get this handwritten thing handed to you by the DA's assistant. You never got anything mailed to you.
Got a visit, right? We know that a detective showed up at his house at 6 a.m. as he's mentioned a few times in the past, right?
Nothing official ever sort of went through the formal process. I mean, this is just so incredibly unorthodox. It sounds like the way things worked when I was in Soviet Union.
I mean, before this happened, I had received some official legitimate court documents, and I followed everything to the T. This was different. Maybe unrelated from that. I guess maybe not everybody loves that I'm involved investigating this case. And
I thank you, Steve. If nobody will thank you, I will thank you. Right? Because it is because of you that we still know what's going on.
I brought public that I think are important. And, I get that not everybody loves that's being exposed. But
Well, let's talk
Trying to-
about that
trying to
because
threaten
I
handwritten piece of
covered you.
paper.
Yeah. Well, I covered your. You've done some really good work in finding stuff in this case, and I covered. I think it was the day that you were able to gain entry legally to the house that David was living
Yeah.
in when Celeste disappeared, and her body's found in the car around the block. And you discovered a burn cage, a box with a burn cage in it, but it was unused, right? And some other artifacts that just seemed like, how are those things not seized when the police raided that house and took whatever evidence?
Okay, so the big debate, right, with everything that's going on right now, with obviously unanswered questions, is the timeline, right? What is the actual timeline? There's talks that maybe January 2nd may have been the day that Celeste may have lost her life. There's talks about April. I think a family member had mentioned that they've seen her in April of 2025. No proof of life, though. This is just all hearsay. And then there's this mysterious trip to Santa Barbara, right? That law enforcement is investigating. But what everybody in the chat, what is everybody's timeline? When do you guys believe that Celeste may have lost her life, right? I don't know. The people of Reddit have made some really great points, right? But for me, the date that really just sticks with me is January. And it's hard for me to not give January 2nd the credit as the day that she lost her life. Maybe not January 2nd, but at least sometime early January. I'm curious what everybody thinks. And January 29th says Angelic Mary. January 29th. It's a very specific date. Why do you say January 29th? Her purse is in the picture of, let me see. Her purse in the picture from April on TikTok is the last piece of her. Right. And there's been discussions about who that purse went to afterwards. Obviously, no proof, but obviously speculation. There's been talks on Reddit that purse may have potentially gone to the other Celeste, right? Celeste Herrera. What do you guys think? After the New Year's party, I mean, that's very close, right? That New Year's party that they had, so weird for them to have a New Year's party with fucking 5 people. I really feel like there was nobody else at that house but Herrera, David, Neo, and Asia, and unfortunately Celeste Rivas, right? Obviously they were under the influence. Most of them were drinking. Not confirmed, but
allegedly,
right? But we did see photos of Celeste Rivas holding that green bottle of sake.
They needed.
Yeah. I mean, the burn cage, there was a chainsaw, which is not needed at that house. The house came with gardeners and all that. Things that, especially put even by themselves, is suspicious enough. But together, you go, knowing that there's a deceased girl that's been sitting in that Tesla is like, really wonder what the plans were. Was it to? So,
my thought is obviously I don't know who killed her, but the person, the target, it's David, right? What I'm having a hard time believing though is where she was killed, when she was killed, and where she was afterwards, right? Because one thing that you guys have to keep in mind, right? And a lot of people have speculated if Celeste was ever held inside the mansion, right? But I don't think that she was, to be honest with you. And the reason why I say this is because if you think about it, right? If you think about this mansion did not belong to David, nor was his name on the lease. So that means that David really owned nothing inside that house, right? Meaning that Kokomon just donated 10 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Kokomon. Sorry, we always have to stop and say thank you to everybody who supports the channel. So thank you so much. And congratulations to Ghost of Bandera, you finally got a membership. You were gifted a membership. Everybody, welcome to the Inner Circle, you guys. Don't forget, after the live, I'll post a link to the Discord. It's a members only Discord where we keep the conversation going. So if you guys want to join afterwards, please feel free. Kokomom also sent a Cash App. You did. Uh-oh. Hold on, I have to see. Well, Kokomom, thank you so much for supporting the channel. We do appreciate you over here. And again, everybody, welcome to the Inner Circle. Thank you guys for being here. But the reason why I say that is David did not own a single thing out here in LA except for his Tesla, meaning that he had no idea when the owner was going to show up, when the property manager was going to show up and do an inspection. And then we learned, right? We learned in one of the videos that came out that there was an inspection on January 19th. You guys remember that? There was some sort of inspection that took place, right? This kind of came up when the whole conversation about the gas mask and the burn cage and the chainsaw came up. You guys remember that?
Essentially, incinerate her, you know, and get rid of her ashes. And then I was like, it just couldn't believe that David or any of those people like have it in them to pull her apart, to just rip her apart. And then, because I didn't know at that time until this finally came out, and it just broke my heart when I found out she'd really been dismembered. I mean, 14 years old, and they spent time hacking her apart. And
well, we don't know who did.
What's that?
At this point, we don't know who.
We don't know who did it, but I don't think
the
person did it. But somebody did it, and I don't care if it was.
That's right. And then a brand new Tesla showed up on February 1st. Right, that was under Rob Morgenroth, is what we learned. I know at first there was speculation that the car belonged to Josh Marshall. Kokomom, I just received your Cash App, so thank you so much. I appreciate you. You're back from the hospital. Oh dear Lord, send some hearts in the chat for Kokomom, who just got out of the hospital and is still hanging out with us. You guys, we love you, Kokomom.
You know, somebody she knew, or if it was some older person or some random person she's never met, whoever did it. I mean, just the fact that they took this little 14-year-old girl and they hacked her apart into pieces and put her in 2 separate bags and left her in a car. It's just, I just don't understand this, and I don't understand why there's not this press to get.
Well, yeah. So on several levels, right, Steve? Like, what about the LAPD? What are they doing? Because I've got only a few more minutes with you, I know, but I've got to hit on the neighbors across the street had a pretty significant surveillance system. They had video cameras trained right on the front entrance of David's home. And tell me, really summarize here, what happened when the detectives showed up at the home across the street to say, do you have any video?
Yeah, so I actually was given video of the detectives arriving at that house. It's so large estate, and it's not the people's primary estate, and they weren't there at the time. They have a state.
He kind of gives detail behind the tweet that he posted a few weeks ago. I don't know if you guys remember on X, Steve Fisher posted that 4 terabyte hard drive. There were 2 of them, and he kind of explained that it got wiped out when it was upgraded, right? But he kind of gives a little bit more detail or tells the story behind that.
Managers and so when the detectives buzzed the gate, they said, we're investigating a homicide, and we want to know if your surveillance cameras here, if you can, check them. And they said, well, we're talking to you from the other house right now. We don't, but we're happy to have our IT guy look through and whatnot. And they gave dates that they wanted and stuff, and I'm sorry, they didn't give dates at that time, but there was like one round of I think text messages that went back and forth, and the people said, they had a scheduled upgrade on like September 25th to upgrade their entire system, and the detectives never came back, and there was 4 terabyte drive from one camera that faces like the front door of the house that, you know, David was renting. And
Isn't that just so ironic, though, that you have 4 terabytes of Steve Fisher, always pausing on the wrong moments, but 4 terabytes of camera footage that points directly in front of David's house, meaning that you could have seen anybody going in and out of that house at any time, whatever 8 terabytes of space would hold, right? I think it's just so unfortunate that the LAPD, law enforcement, whoever it was, DA's office did not return the call to this property owner, to the homeowner, to obtain the footage.
I got taken out during the upgrade, and it's a specialized security system that's kind of used for like in like corporate manufacturing environments where where it's like trade secret stuff. So the drives are made that if you take them out of the security system, you can never view it again. And that's so if like a spy from another company was it's coming and steal the hard drive, they can never view it, the footage. You can only
You'd have to upload it before you remove
so if you're
it.
going to ever take the drive out of the console, you have to upload it. Well, they didn't do that, and they didn't have any reason to do that. But all that footage is gone, and that's.
I mean, well, here, let's be really clear about this. The police show up at their door at the gate. They're not there. The police say, "We want your video." They say, "Sure thing, we want to help." And the police never come back.
Yeah.
So they inform the police, "We've got a scheduled upgrade coming."
Coco Mom just gifted another 10 memberships. So shout out to Coco Mom for gifting another 10 memberships. Thank you so much, Coco Mom. Everybody that was gifted a membership, please make sure you thank Coco Mom in the chat. And welcome everybody to the inner circle, you guys.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
And the police didn't do anything about it. Like, this is a huge failing that the police didn't show back up to get what I would argue is like one of the most critical pieces of evidence, a camera pointing right at David's house where you might see Celeste going in and never coming back out.
Yes. And you know, it's a failing no matter what. They should have gone in. But in my mind, I was thinking, well, they probably have video from the Tesla itself, and they probably have where it was parked on Bluebird. But now, listen, that can't be the case. Like, here we are 7 months later, and they don't have a case. So it's like, oh, that really was critically important. And even, the Tesla itself, I don't believe I'll tell you, I found the Tesla last week. I thought they'd taken it and crushed it. It's parked at a body repair place, a Tesla body repair place. I don't know if they're going to like flip this thing and somebody's going to buy it and not know that there's a girl.
Hold it. Whoa, it's a crime scene. What?
Yeah.
It's not in evidence. It's not being held. It's not in a police impound lot.
No, they kept it for 2 days, and they turned it back to the impound yard. And then what happened was it was never picked up. So it went up. I've been watching it online the whole time. It went up for auction. It was listed for public auction. At 10 o'clock the night before it was being auctioned.
That's crazy.
All of a sudden came off the auction roster because I was going to inspect it. And I called the place, and they said somebody showed up with a cashier's check and with power of attorney paperwork. And then I looked in DMV, I have DMV access, and somebody transferred it into their name from David's. And I was like, oh, there's something shady going on here. And I happened to be in a part of town the other day, and I drove by it, and I'm like, that's the Tesla with and it still had the Texas plate and everything. So it's at a body shop.
So wait, so the day before auction, somebody shows up with a cashier's check.
Yeah, and power of attorney.
And they purchased from the impound lot the Tesla.
Yep.
Roberto, welcome.
You don't know who it is. There's no record of that.
I know who it is. I just can't say because of DMV access, but it's not a name that I knew before, but I know who it is now. Yeah.
And then how do you trace it to where it is now?
I just ran across it. I was on another case, and I was driving down the road, and it was literally parked on the side of the road in front of a body shop. And it has all these like stickers on the back of wings.
It's easy to find.
And then at the time, now I've driven by it a few times now, checked it out, but it has the Texas plates off it now. But it has the exact. It's the car. They've washed it since, but they haven't done anything else. And I'm
gonna tell you right now, they didn't wash that car.
I don't know. It's the whole thing's so screwed. It's like they don't even care. They're like, evidence. I don't know. Yeah, so they had it for
But
2
but
days.
it's at this other body repair place that anybody could go and ask what's going on
Well,
with that car.
So First Liberties podcast said California amended its civil asset forfeiture laws years ago. The state can't keep the car unless David is convicted. They keep it until they don't need it anymore. And apparently, law enforcement only took 48 hours to conduct their investigation on the Tesla and deemed it not necessary to hold on to it. So that's the reason why they returned it so quickly.
Want to buy it?
I know they'll be hammered.
Why?
But
I don't know.
Kind of keeping an eye on it, but I don't. I just don't understand. It's like everything is just kind of like, I don't
Abraham,
know. I don't know what
exactly
to think anymore. I'm so
71 today.
frustrated. I'm so, because you know what?
September
Start with the
8th.
sex crimes if you have to. There are them. I announced like 2 weeks ago. I have 2 other minors that have come to me. One of them has given me tons of photo evidence. Her and him together. She's minor. There's no doubt.
Wait, which her? Celeste or this other minor who's talking to you?
Another minor. But at the same time, on the day that Celeste ran away, on the last time on February 15th, she's at one spot, and this other minor that he's involved with is 2 blocks away at a different place, and he's going back and forth.
So SF is basically saying that on Valentine's Day, right? And those of you guys who do go to Reddit and you guys check out all of the posts out there, you guys have seen that there is video footage, right, of David celebrating Valentine's Day. Now, somebody in the chat remind me where that video was taken. Was that taken at 1368 or was it taken at 804? I want to say it was, I don't know. I don't know if that's 804 or not. Somebody let me know. Mystical Magic, welcome. You can't renew your membership because when I hit join, it makes a screen flicker. What? So Star says 804 100%. So basically, if he was at 804, it is more than likely that he was spending time with Celeste. So those photos that you see, or those items that you see in that video, were the gifts that he gave to Celeste, right? But SF is also saying that there was another minor that was at the mansion at the same exact time. The same exact time, you guys. While he was dating Celeste, he was also, gotta make sure I don't slip. He was also dating another person, right? And that girl also happens to be a minor, right? And he said that there are a lot of photos. He has a lot of photo evidence. But I want you guys to listen to. So what is 804? 804, and the reason why I say the numbers instead of the street names, it's well known that David had multiple properties, right? There were 2 properties that he had. Both of them were on Doheny. The street names were both Doheny. There's 804 Doheny. Is it Doheny Place? And then there's 1368 Doheny Drive, right? And 1368 is the mansion that was rented out, the $20,000 mansion under Josh Marshall. And then 804 was a streaming house, the streaming house that you see Celeste in that Twitch video, right? So when you hear me refer to 804 and 1368, I'm just distinguishing the 2 different properties.
And I've got pictures of it.
Meaning she was. Are you saying she was Celeste and this other minor?
No, well, I'm saying, yeah,
to be a little bit more clear there. I'm not clear.
Sure.
On that particular day. What happened?
Star said, "Yep," because add Kira into that same timeline, right? Kira was another person who came out on Reddit and kind of told her story, and from there, Reddit did what Reddit does. And they kind of broke down every single song that he did and found out that he was writing songs for her and put the first letter of her name in each line. So then when you read the lyrics, right, it spells Kyra in 2 separate verses. This guy's weird, bro. This guy's a weirdo.
I've had 2 minors separately come to me. One of them has tons of photo evidence, including from February 14th on Valentine's Day, and them together. I mean, romantically together. And she's underage.
The minor and David.
Yes, minor and David together in the rental house that my client owned.
So I can tell you right now that we've tried to contact one of them, and one of them had mentioned that they are not willing to speak out on this topic and does not plan to. Right. So that's basically all that I can say. Obviously, I can't say much, but they will not be speaking out on this topic. I don't know if there is any kind of fear that was placed upon them, or they've been told to keep their mouth shut, but they have mentioned that they're not going to speak on it.
So, and there's no disputing it. It's not like you only see part of them. They're together, taking pictures into a mirror, and so they're together. And so I encourage
Celeste is not in those pictures.
Celeste's not in those pictures, and Celeste, and this girl doesn't know Celeste, and I mean, she knows who she is now, but she didn't know her. And I encouraged her to go.
How's it going?
She's like, I don't know if they could be, but she went and she's told them, and she showed them pictures. And
no, so when I say, or when SF says 2 other minors, it's to my understanding or my belief that these other 2 minors, other than Celeste Rivas Hernandez, are both still alive. Now, I cannot confirm if both of them are still minors now, but I think given, based upon the time frames we know about one of them, I don't think this person is no longer a minor. So, yeah.
They're not prosecuting a sex crime. So it seems to be like it's murder or nothing. And at some point we got to protect these underage girls.
So this young minor, did she say that she'd had sexual relations with David and she's underage?
Well, absolutely.
And she told the...
So this other minor has confirmed that she has had sexual relationships with D4VD. I wonder what else they did.
Police that, and they're not interested?
And yes, and she told the police that. I'm just saying there's been no movement on it at all, and they haven't followed up.
They haven't followed up with her.
So he's basically telling us right now that law enforcement is aware of 2 separate minors that David has had interactions with and potentially sexual encounters with, and they have decided that it was not important. So he says, right? But basically what he's inferring is that the law enforcement has not gotten back to one of the victims or one of the minors to ask and get more information from. So I don't know. Does law enforcement not care, right? That he's doing whatever he wants with whoever he wants? Because if the evidence is there, there's photo proof. I don't even want to see those photos, right? But if there is evidence, what are we waiting for?
Well, besides saying, yeah, you send us your pictures and stuff like that, there hasn't been like extensive sit down interview with her. I'll put it that way. She's willing to. She finally got the courage up to be like, okay, I'll do the right. I'll do what I need to do, and it doesn't seem to be a priority, or even doesn't even seem to,
Well, Ramos said, when I saw David, he is a small, skinny dude. I couldn't picture him being a threat considering Celeste was taller than him, right? Yeah, David is what, 5'1", and Celeste was 5'3", if I'm not mistaken. Celeste was 5'3". She probably would have whooped his ass.
Steve, NBC Los Angeles has a report. They say that law enforcement sources have told them that they believe Celeste was killed in the spring of 2025 and that there may be more than one person involved. Do you know anything about that?
Not directly from law enforcement, but I will say, the last picture that we have of Celeste alive is January 2nd, 2025. And we felt that something may have happened from there to spring, and also coupled with the fact of the neighbor having this really bad odor in their yard where they had buried it where the Tesla would park right next to them. They had buried a dog there, and they thought it was the dog, but it was kind of a wide
Wait,
window.
stay there for a second. This is the neighbor directly across the street with the cameras that are
That's right.
pointing right, and the police didn't show up to
Wait,
get.
hold on. Let me go back really quick because I feel like I just missed something.
But it was kind of a wide
Wait,
window.
stay.
Hold on.
Something may have happened from there to spring, and also coupled with the fact of the neighbor having this really bad odor in their yard, that where they had buried it, where the Tesla would park right next to them. They had buried a dog there, and they thought it was the dog, but it was kind of a wide window.
Stay there for a second. This is the neighbor directly across the street with the cameras that are
That's right.
pointing right, and the police didn't show up to get those cameras.
Okay, so now we have more of an explanation as to which neighbor it was, right? Because we know a few weeks ago, a month ago, SF put out a tweet that basically said that the neighbor's dog had died, and the dog died in March 21st, right? And that they were going to unbury their dog because they thought there was the smell of the dog was just kind of coming up, and they were going to rebury their dog a little bit deeper. But then they come to realize and learn that it wasn't their dog at all, right? And it was the assumption is that it was the Tesla
in that video, and they had buried the dog in their backyard and thought the smell was so terrible that they hadn't buried the dog deep enough.
That's right.
And when the Tesla left, suddenly the odor went away, and they realized it wasn't the dog.
That's
Same
right.
neighbors.
That's
Okay.
right. And they said when we got to a certain temperature, warm enough, that the smell would overwhelm the backyard. And so we're not, January, and it seemed like then they leased a new David's manager leased a new Tesla in February, like February 2nd, I believe. So we were thinking
February
about there,
1st,
but I will
what
say
we've learned.
that I have talked to somebody that knows Celeste's family, and it has some information that they believe around April 20th may have been a target date. So I'm not disputing that reporting. I just don't know. But I will say,
So April 20th. So I don't know if this date came from anywhere else or if it came out before this conversation, right? But April 20th is another target date where maybe Celeste was either spoken to. I think it may have been through text message. I don't know if they've actually seen her, right? But also, I don't know. It's so hard to believe, and because the family hasn't said anything, right? If this is actually a family member that said it, I don't know if I can believe them, right? Because they haven't said anything. But we do have last proof of life for SF, which is January 2nd. So, I don't know. How many of you guys think, okay, type a 1 in the chat if you think January in or around January 2nd was the date. Type a 2 in the chat if you think April plays a significant role, right? And keep in mind, right, David performed at Coachella, I want to say on the 18th or 19th of April, right? So, I mean, there's that too. But if you think about it, right, if David had taken that trip to Santa Barbara, a lot of you guys are saying 1, a few 2s. Okay. So if he would have performed at Coachella, right, which is the 18th and the 19th, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe the 20th, which would have been the day after Coachella ended, right? Oh, and then he took that trip to Santa Barbara. That is such a far, far trip, right? For anybody that knows distances, Santa Barbara and Coachella are just like on opposite ends, right? So that's, I don't know, like a 2.5 hour drive.
I think that there's certain people that believe around that April 15th to April 20th is the date. It could be anywhere from January to, as far as I know, January to end of April.
But they have their ideas based on witnesses, last reportings of anybody who knew her, that kind of thing. And then this car that smelled, and the report from the neighbor.
I was pretty sure we're talking January, February, but I do have a lot of faith in this witness, and people directly tied to her they're talking to that she was seen April 20th. and after that went completely dark. So I could see April 20. I just don't know the exact date, but I think that could be April 20. End of April could be in play, but it's just hard to say without the details.
Well, it leads me to my last question, because I
Yeah.
know your time is precious, but where are Celeste's parents in all this? Early on, we thought maybe they're undocumented.
It's a good question, Ramos. Who thinks David did this by himself, or if he had help? Right? I mean, they're saying that he had help, and I don't know if that's because they were able to identify the different type of cut marks, that were found on her dismembered body, right? But David did this alone, all 5'0" of him. I don't know. I feel like if he'd blow away in the wind, right? So I highly doubt that he did this by himself. If he did this, that he did it by himself. I think he definitely could have had help, or he allegedly had help, right? I don't know.
And that's why they're not being vocal. And they've they just, we're so underground. But they have a daughter who was mutilated.
Yeah.
And there's no justice here. And there's a rich boyfriend in whose Tesla she was found. What is their story, and where are they, and why are they not hammering down the doors of the LAPD?
Little brother helped.
So first I'll say I've never spoken to them. I have made an attempt, gently made an attempt, but they haven't spoken to me. Nobody in the family. However, I know a lot of things, and
Tell us
with proof, not just speculation, but with proof. And I think that hesitation comes from.
Yeah, did you hear that? He just said, "I know a lot of things," and not with speculation, but proof. So he knows a lot more than he's even let out too. And I wonder if we're gonna learn some of those things in the coming weeks, right? If law enforcement and the DA's office continue to just give us absolutely nothing.
Celeste was not a missing person. They knew where Celeste was. Celeste was showing up occasionally at family events. We got photo documentation of that. She showed up at a graduation for her cousin Esmeralda. She showed up, she's in that video where she's fighting with the people in the apartment complex next door.
Wasn't that her own birthday?
It's when she's missing. It's supposedly a missing person.
And it's her birthday. She's in her own parents' backyard arguing with the neighbors, right?
Well, she shows up at that birthday type event too. That's the third one. So there's all these things. And listen, I know that
Tammy, congratulations
some of her siblings,
on your membership,
had joined them on fun events, let's say, going places, and so they knew what was going on. So I think that maybe they're thinking, they don't want to get in trouble for that, which I get. Listen, I don't think prosecutors are looking to prosecute that, right? But even if they were, I think the right thing to do would be to come out and say maybe we messed up, maybe we didn't, but we really need justice for Celeste, because she ended up chopped up in a Tesla, and but that's not happening, and it's really heartbreaking. And the only other thing I can think of is, because I kind of saw it happen to me, is if somebody's being heavy-handed. Ultimately, the reason I was served, given that piece of paper, is because they didn't want me talking to the press anymore. They flat out told me, stop talking. But, you don't need to investigate the case. We don't need people knowing what evidence may have been looked or overlooked or not. And I think maybe Celeste family is being told, don't talk to anybody, or else, you could be, that's just speculation, or else something could happen to you. I don't know, but they need to. This girl, everybody failed this girl, it seems like, in life, and we can't fail.
Abraham said, so the medical examiner said that she was found in an advanced state of decomposition, but how would they be able to tell her tattoo, right? And if you guys were here a couple months ago, we did a whole live stream on how the medical examiners are able to reverse decomposition. And is it possible? The answer is actually yes, right? The method that they actually practice, though, at the time of the video was made, it wasn't approved in the United States, right? This doctor from Mexico developed this formula where there's like 4 different chemicals that are in it, But basically, the video, what he did was he took a decomposed body. And when I say decomposed, the body was necrotic, right? Meaning that the skin was dried, it was darkened, it was black. And what he did was he submerged that body in this formula. And after leaving it in the chemicals for, I don't know, maybe 48 hours or so, he was able to reverse the decomposition. And what that did was it helped the medical examiner identify all of the tattoos that he had on his body. So how is it possible? There are different ways, right? Obviously, I'm not a medical examiner, nor am I a doctor, so I can't, 100% share those. But it's definitely possible. And if you guys want that video link to watch it, it's a really cool documentary on how they actually do that. So let me know if you guys want it. I'll send it to you guys in the chat. I would just have to look for it.
Learn death, and it feels like that's happening. 7 months later, no charges. I mean,
and we don't even know if there's a grand jury anymore impaneled for this, do we?
No, I mean, criminal grand juries in Los Angeles County are only impaneled for 30 days. So every 30 days it goes by. Ever since this stuff happened in Texas with the filings with the parents, there's been a whole that grand jury that subpoenaed them. They're not even impaneled anymore.
They have to pass that information onto the new grand jury and then pass that on to the one after that. It seems so
not the
inefficient.
same as if you're the grand jury that was questioning that person. It's just reading it from testimony. It's not the same. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's like, listen, if they're having
Celeste did have a tattoo on her finger, right, that said shh, right? But then there's also talks that she may have possibly had his actual name tattooed on her, or on the other hand, on another finger. But that has not been a topic of discussion at all. It's been a topic of conversation on the Reddits, right? But nowhere has it been discussed publicly by any of these big reporters. So who knows? Who knows if Celeste had the red tattoo that said David on her finger? Because I don't know.
A hard time with the case or whatever. At least keep us someone
say something,
have some sort of press conference and say, listen, this is where we stand. We can't tell you too much, but we are pursuing it, and we think we have something. I mean, playing hide the ball is not helping at all.
Well, how about also get this out in the press to get anybody out there who might know something to say something to help maybe crack this open. That's right. That's what the whole Nancy Guthrie case is about. If you've seen something, say something, come forward. I have not heard one overture, from the police. Maybe I've missed something.
Okay, you guys, I'm going to share a link in the chat, and this is a video that was made by a group called Motherboard. They have a channel called Motherboard. This video is actually 11 years old, but it's a very interesting documentary on how they reverse decomposition. The title, and keep in mind that if you do watch this video, viewer discretion is advised because it is a very graphic video. And I think if you do watch it, you will have to, I think it is age restricted. So I'm going to share it because it is a really great documentary. So a lot of us watched it during one of our lives. Yep. Motherboard is a very, it's an old Vice channel, right? But definitely a great documentary.
But to help us solve this horrible injustice against this young girl.
Yep. Nope. Unfortunately, you're right. There's nothing.
Steve, thank you so much for your time. I've kept you longer than I said I would. I really appreciate it. Let's talk again about this.
Yeah.
So that's basically the end
into pieces and put her in two
of the video. Let me see really quick.
I was really worried about that because
okay, obviously I do have to just let you guys know I came on an hour late, and that's because I was running around town because I was given a little bit of information. A source had kind of reached out and they had told me where the actual Tesla was, right? And so a source had told me where it was, and I had a little bit of time today, and I was able to locate the actual Tesla. I found it. And we went out there, took a quick little trip to go visit and see what this was all about. Now, I'll share what I was able to get. Nancy sent silver stars for 2 jewels, and Nancy sent sparkles for 2 jewels. Thank you so much, Nancy. I'm seeing this in the vertical live, but I have no idea what this means. What does that mean? Yes, that is right, you guys. We found it, right? Just like the thumbnail said, we found it. And we made a trip out there. So we went to go visit it, boots on the ground. And I'm going to just share a few photos, right? But I'm going to tell you, I wasn't able to get much, right? Because it was at a body shop. It was at a body shop, and there were a lot of people. I don't know. I wouldn't go near that stank car, right? Yeah, but we went out there and we took a look, right? So I was also told not to give the location, but I think it's going to be hard to kind of hide. Let me just hold on. So let me just share this photo right over here, right? So this is a photo. So when Steve had mentioned that the car was washed, now obviously you can see that there's a little bit of dirt on it. It does look like it was given a wash, and it's still kind of sitting out there. But this is a Tesla, and it's crazy because when I found it, this car is literally this photo is taken from my car, right? Unfortunately, I was not able to speak with anybody. Nobody was willing to speak. So I think, and I will have to tell you guys that I wasn't able to step onto the property to take additional photos. I do have a few photos, but I wasn't able to get the front, you guys. I'm upset that I wasn't able to. We're gonna go back out there. We're gonna try to get some photos of the front, because everybody wants to know what the front looks like. Everybody was asking me, was there blood? And I'll be honest. And look, we can see here, right? Hold on. This is the same Tesla, because you can see here that he had taped the damn spoiler together. And we know those spoilers on those damn Teslas, they suck. They suck. Coco Mom just gifted a $20 super chat. Gas is expensive. Thank you so much, Coco Mom. I do appreciate you supporting the channel, and thank you for that, because that's going to go right back into the gas tank. So thank you for that. Let me see. I do have, let me see, another one right over. Oh, hold on. Look at this one, you guys. You guys see that? And then for those of you guys that are wondering, this is his car, right? It still has that registration sticker that says the expiration date of the registration, which is January 2025. Why does it look blue? I'll be honest with you. I think it was a blue Christmas tree air freshener. So it's weird. Tonight does belong to Coco Mom. Shout out to Coco Mom, you guys. Everybody shout out Coco Mom in the chat, because she definitely supported the channel heavy tonight. I appreciate you. That air freshener is hanging, right? And remember, Ashley Banfield was, I think she was one of the first ones to mention that there was, if you could get the VIN. Oof. Correct, Luna. That's absolutely true, right? But a lot of people were asking me to see if we can find it, and we were able to find it. So we went out there. I don't know if these are sunspots on the car, and you can see that this car still has a ton of cobwebs, spider webs, etc. Right? And if this information is disappointing to you guys, I do apologize. And if this was not what you're looking for, I'm sorry. Right? But this is what we did. This is what took me forever to drive out to, but we did it. Let me see. I think I have a video that I can share with you guys. Hold on. Trying to see how to do this without burning it. Let me share this really quick. This is the Tesla. You can see it here. That's crazy. That was, let me see. I think I might have another video too. Hold on one second. Let me see. Hold on. Give me a second, you guys. Hold on. I think I have to share this. Oh no. Maybe I have to share the file. 1 second. Let me go back. Sorry, you guys. Hang tight. Here you go. Oops. This is the car for the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. This is the actual Tesla that she was in. Did I show this to you guys already? It's confirmed his. That's it. The damage. So that's basically it. So that's basically where I was at after work. There's so much traffic to get out there. It took me almost 2 hours to get out there. So yeah, we'll probably be posting those photos to the Reddit shortly. So I do apologize, you guys. If you guys thought this was clickbait, obviously there's no information that anybody's gonna spill to me that I'm just gonna go into business for myself and put out there. So obviously I'm not gonna post anything without anybody else's permission. But anyways, what is my Reddit? I don't put my Reddit out there. Reddit's a place to be anonymous. So, but let me see. I don't know if there's anything else. Is there anything else? I mean, I can show you other photos. I don't know. Let me see. I can shoot. Let me see. I can send you this one. It is pretty crazy, though. Anyways, that's pretty much it, though. That's going to be it for tonight's live, you guys. Just wanted to make sure that we recap all of this stuff and go over. Obviously, this is what we do here on our channel. So for all of you guys that did tune in, I do want to say thank you, guys. Let me make sure I shout out everybody who supported the channel. Tammy for your super chat, Cindy for your 5 gifted memberships, Mamacita, aka Miss Dizzle, who rejoined and became a member. Coco Mom gifted 20 memberships and then $20 super chat. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Coco Mom. I hope you're recovering well. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me tonight, you guys. You can expect some of these photos to make it somewhere into the Reddit, or you guys can screenshot and post it yourselves. I don't really care. Do as you may. But here it is, the Tesla that's right there. This is the sidewalk right here, you guys. So this is literally how close this photo is, and I didn't want to step on their property because People were coming out telling me what was up. That's going to be it for me tonight, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. I do appreciate you guys. Everybody who was gifted a membership, welcome to the Inner Circle. I'll post a link to the members only Reddit where the conversation can continue. If you guys are a member, just keep in mind it's a members only, so you do have to be a member to join the Discord. But yeah, I'll see you guys another time. Thank you guys for joining. I love you guys. Everybody who's a new member, welcome to the Inner Circle, you guys. I will see you guys later. My name is Flojo. This is Filling in the Gap, and I will see you guys later. Peace.